Betty. Okay, I'm on my way home from the dentist, and it went really well, actually. There was a new dental hygienist, and she was wonderful. And, you know, it still had some troublesome spots where it hurt and was uncomfortable. What was funny, though, was that I think she forgot to floss my teeth. And that's like the big anxiety that I have, is the way that they floss. I don't know, maybe she just gave it an extra good cleaning with the pick or something, but she didn't floss, so that was really odd. So and I didn't remind her, because I'm like, yeah, I just want to skate on that one. That's the thing that I hate most about it. So that was really weird, huh? And I forgot to pre-medicate, so they made me take 4 amoxicillins there, and which I was really apprehensive about doing, because I don't like destroying the gut flora that I have, and dang it, so now I've got those antibiotics in my system, but I have to do that because of a heart issue, and so they just take precautions. But anyway, she said that, you know, oh, good hygiene, you know, she said that my teeth are looking good. I've got a couple of things. I mean, I had lost a filling last year sometime for a cavity, and I forgot to get it taken care of. It was like in the very back, and I never got it taken care of. And so the dentist says, you know, there's a little bit of, you know, decay happening in that area now, so they're going to have to take care of that. And then they just want to upkeep the crowns that I have. Some of them might need to be replaced, of course. But other than that, you know, they're in good shape, and I'm taking really good care of them. That was really good to hear, because in the past, you know, I do want to take care of my teeth. I do realize that it is actually one of the few assets on me that have been, you know, it's one of the good things. Some people have good legs, I have good teeth, you know, or something like that. It's like, so I have to take care of them as best I can. I just don't want to lose anymore. I lost the one and got an implant a while back, and that was like traumatic for me to just think I was losing a tooth. I actually had to have it pulled because it went bad. But you know, my teeth have come a long way, and back a few years back, I had started my plant-based journey back then, and I'm not solely plant-based anymore, but I used to be, and I had started out doing a raw vegan diet. And when you do that, a lot of times you end up, you know, I was following a certain group that advocated eating a lot of dried fruit, and that was totally the wrong thing for me to do. You know, I was having dates, I was having dried apricots and prunes and, you know, whatnot, and not like, I didn't seem like I was having like a crazy amount, but I was having definitely more than I'd had in the past. And so what ended up happening, after just, I want to say after just about 6 months or so of doing that, what followed that time was, I want to say, about almost 2 years of just straight dental work. Crowns and root canals and just decay. And they even put me on a periodontal watch, so I had to have extra cleanings and specific types of deep cleanings, so many per year. And it just really messed up my dental work. And so eventually, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's not, you know, that the rice and grains and things like that don't mess up your teeth, but they actually do. They cause more, and you can't like eat something that's made out of grains or flour and go to sleep and not brush your teeth, because what happens while you sleep is that's when, you know, that the grains that are in your mouth promotes the growth of the bacteria, and that's what your bacteria feeds on, and it's kind of like almost like a yeast and a sugar thing, you know, and so it causes even more decay. So I brush and floss, you know, in the morning, noon, and night. and especially at night before I go to sleep, and I always brush. One thing that I wanted to do was besides wanting to keep my teeth, I don't want to cause that extra expense for my family to have to pay for my dental work because I was lazy, you know what I mean, or because I was just, you know, neglectful over my own health. And so, and dental work, especially if you have root canals and stuff like that, you can do research on it and find out that that really does affect one's, I believe it really does affect one's immune system, and it's far-reaching to that. So if I can avoid it at all costs, I really, you know, I want to do that. But I had 4 teeth pulled when I was a kid, and I'm telling you my complete dental history here. When I was a kid, because they were going to be crowded, and so they pulled 2 out of the top and 2 out of the bottom, and they just kind of like grew in straight. You know, the ones on the bottom are a little, you know, bumpy. They're not as straight as the top, but the ones on top, they came in okay. So I'm really grateful for that. When I didn't realize, you know, how much of an asset it is to have, you know, a nice smile or that I had one, you know, even until I think I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was visiting over at a friend's house, and well, she's my friend, but it was an older woman, and I used to clean her house for her once a week after school. And she did become my friend too, as well as an employer, but she was really sweet. And one day she had her daughter home. Her daughter was away at college usually, and she was going to school to become a dental hygienist. And we were sitting there, and I looked up and I smiled, and she looked like she was going to faint. And she just looked at me, blank stare, and I thought, oh my goodness, did I do something wrong? Did I say something? And she just looked at me and she said, Kat, she's like, you have such straight and pretty teeth. And I was floored, because I thought, I'd never actually even thought of it or heard it or thought that that was something that anybody would even care about. And I never even knew. And I was like, oh, well, thank you, you know. And she was, being a dental hygienist, she was very thoughtful over things like that. And she had seen a lot of teeth already, I think, and she knew that it wasn't something that was, I guess, as prevalent as I thought it was. I just figured everybody had the same teeth. It's not something you think about, you know. But now I realize, you know, it's very important, you know. And so my husband and I have different thoughts about that. I feel like if I lose a tooth, I'm going to lose, it's like chopping a pinky off or a finger, you know. It's your whole, everything changes without it. It's part of your limbs, you know. And I feel really bad if I have to lose, like that one that I lost. And my husband feels that he doesn't like his teeth. He kind of inherited brittle teeth from his dad, and so they break fairly easily. And so his idea is that he's not going to worry too much about taking taking proper care of them. He brushes his teeth and stuff like that, but and he flosses. But as far as like going to the dentist to have like crowns and these kinds of things, he really doesn't like to do that. And the reason why is because he says, you know what, I'm just going to wait until I have to get them all pulled, and then I'll get some new teeth, and then they'll be perfect. And so I don't know, I just don't know how his frame of mind is that way. I mean, we've been in situations where he's broken a tooth, and I'm just like cringing, and I'm going, do you need to go to the hospital? You know, do you need me to, let's call the dentist. I'm sure he'll come in on an emergency, you know. And he said, no, that's okay. There's half of it stuck out. Just pull the other half out. I'll pull the other half out, or it doesn't matter, you know. And he's actually taken different things like sandpaper or different objects to try to file down a nasty break by himself. And I just don't understand it. You know, he's a very tough guy, you know, I guess. But for me, you know, one time we were sitting there eating jelly beans, and I popped, I used to be hooked on Jelly Bellies, and I ate a jelly bean, and one of my front teeth is actually not, it's a filling in the area right here, and so it's not an actual full tooth. And so what happened was I broke the filling off with my, it's like half of a tooth, and I broke it off. Now I know you're trying to look, right? I broke it off with the jelly bean, and I'm like, what in the world? That doesn't feel right. And I looked in the mirror, and I looked like a little, I had just, it was so funny. It looked like I took a marker and just kind of like colored in my tooth. And I looked, and I was horrified. And I ran over to my husband, and I looked, and I said, look what happened, look. And he laughed so hard. He thought that was the funniest thing ever. And I was extremely traumatized. I mean, not just now one of my greatest fears in life is falling down, don't ask me why, falling down a flight of stairs and breaking my front teeth. This is one of my top fears. And so breaking the front tooth, I was like, what are you laughing at? Look at me, I'm hideous. And the next morning, I don't know how I fell asleep. I was completely upset. But the first thing the next morning, I called my dentist, and I was crying and just, you gotta help me. And excuse me for the turn. And they took me in, and they fixed me up. They thought it was funny too. And that, my friends, is the last jelly bean I have had in years. It could be anything, could have been nuts or whatever, but it was jelly beans, so no more jelly beans. Anyway, I'll see you later.